So on September 17th, 2025, Walt Disney owned ABC announced it was pulling Jimmy Kimmel Live off the air indefinitely, replacing the Wednesday episode with a rerun of Celebrity Family Feud. The decision followed intense backlash over Kimmel's Monday monologue, where he asserted the suspect in Charlie Kirk's September 10th assassination, identified as Tyler Robinson, was definitely a Trump supporter, while criticizing conservative figures for allegedly portraying the shooter as non-MAGA. Kimmel stated, "We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them." FCC Chairman Brendan Carr, a Trump appointee, condemned the remarks as offensive and insensitive, urging local broadcasters to stop airing the show and threatening regulatory action against ABC/Disney. Major affiliate groups like Nexstar and Sinclair quickly preempted episodes, citing community values and potential FCC scrutiny amid Nexstar's pending merger approvals. Trump celebrated the move on Truth Social, calling Kimmel ratings challenged with zero talent and demanding NBC fire Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers. Celebrities like Ben Stiller and politicians, including California Governor Gavin Newsom, decried it as real-time censorship and a chilling effect on media. CNN's Brian Stelter warned it makes America a less free place for comedians. The ACLU labeled it part of the Trump administration's unconstitutional plan to silence critics. WGA and AFTRA unions backed Kimmel. Conservatives, including FCC's Carr and Turning Point USA allies, praised the suspension as accountability for lying about the assassination's motives. Some ex-users mocked Kimmel as not funny or smug leftist prick. Thoughts, Wilson?
Well, Dale, I have to say, personally, I like Jimmy Kimmel. Um, I go way back to when he hosted the Man Show with Adam Carolla on on Comedy Central. He's been doing that, the late night show for, I think it started was it 2002? And it's been in LA the whole time. Obviously I'm a native Angelino. Um, the guys used to come on the show that when they won the back-to-back titles in 2009 and 2010. He had the guys on the show. I'm talking about the Lakers guys, Kobe and the guys. Um, and, when Kobe tragically passed away, Jimmy was the person who was chosen to host the memorial service that we all saw, the public memorial service that was shown on TV. And so to me, Jimmy Kimmel is he's an adopted Angelino, but I honestly feel like the Charlie Kirk situation simply is no laughing matter. I just don't think there's anything about it. It's nothing to joke about. It's nothing. Obviously he wasn't actually making a joke about um, you know, Kirk's passing, but he was, it's nothing for a monologue unless it's a somber monologue. It's nothing for, there's nothing about that about what happened to Charlie Kirk that that should be used in your material to make your audience laugh, right? Even though it was really just it was really just a shot at Trump and his fan base. To me, to me it just was, like I said, it's just no laughing matter. And I think that the reaction from the left in general, since the assassination took place, has been really disturbing. And I just think, I don't know. I just think that the left is they're lost. You know, um, because to see something like that, man, where you could see it so graphically. I just thought that was how could you possibly how can anybody make jokes about that or say that he had it coming when first of all, I mean and I said at the time that I was I wasn't gonna when I reacted to it um, when it happened. I said that I wasn't gonna try to I was gonna try not to politicize it, and then even in my initial reaction I ended up politicizing because it's impossible not to, you know. But I just think that the left, uh, they try to paint Charlie as this hateful bigot extremist, and he simply wasn't. He was a moderate conservative, So are there a couple of sound bites? Maybe like the clip where he says about Michelle Obama and the other black uh, women. He goes, "Yeah, black women, you do not have the brain processing power for these positions that you've basically been taken from white people via affirmative action or DEI or however you put it." Yeah, there are a couple of clips like that here and there, sure, but for the most part, anyone, and I wasn't as familiar. To be clear, uh, when Charlie died, I was familiar with Charlie, but not as much as I was with some of the other conservative commentators like Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, even somebody like a Nick Fuentes, and I think that to me it's like if Charlie Kirk was that incendiary, um, then I think I would. He just I knew I was like I knew I was familiar with him, but I feel like uh, Candace and Shapiro and Nick Fuentes, like I said, and you got guys like Steve Bannon, Alex Jones. Those guys seem to come across my radar in a more um, I'm saying that they were I guess their reputation. It seemed like because obviously I share their views most of the time, generally speaking. Uh, but I would say that their reputation, um, it was for being more, I guess, inflammatory, you could say. Uh, and I think that's why they showed up or became uh, as notable as they did. And obviously, Charlie was very, very famous. And some got people and everything. You can't catch everything. But like I said, I was familiar with him. I was familiar with Turning Point USA. I knew of it. Um, but after he died, that's when I really started consuming his content. And I just for the most part, like I said, 99% of what I heard him say, I didn't see any hatefulness or extremist views. Basically just as a guy who's fact based. Of course, he is conservative. He just called it like he saw it, and nobody was more knowledgeable, nobody was more informed. I mean, the way he could just, when he would be in those debates against those college kids, I mean, he had the information just offhand. He had it memorized. He could just recite it. He spit it out just like that. And yeah, I just think that he was just a very smart guy. And what he was doing, that's the way he's supposed to do it. Anybody who wanted to debate, he gave them the floor, and he tried to have a civil debate with them. So to make it seem like Charlie Kirk was just this racist, extremist, misogynist bigot, that's just ridiculous. So for anybody to celebrate the man's demise like the left has been doing, especially with the video being so graphic like it was, I think it just speaks to how deranged the left is. So I would have to say that Jimmy Kimmel, for getting up there and taking, I would say, an insensitive tone. I would have to say that Jimmy Kimmel pretty much, he got what he deserved. You know, and I think the show was suspended. It hasn't been outright canceled. It's been suspended indefinitely. So we'll have to see if he's back. I think his ratings had been down. The ratings have been down across the late night talk show scene. So we just have to see what happens. But I like Jimmy personally, but I don't like what he did, and you know, shame. Like I said, it wasn't the worst thing anybody's ever said, right? I mean, it's been obviously it's been things that were 1,000 times. But again, he was really only taking shots at the Trump, the Trump base. But I think it could have been, it was, like I said, I don't think if he had anything to say about it, it should have been something somber. It shouldn't have been anything to make his audience laugh. Because, like I said, it's what happened to Charlie Kirk was simply no laughing matter.